sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand
Welcome and hello, everybody.
What you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenix you are. And I appreciate you guys being here. Now, yesterday, if you haven't seen it yet, go watch the recording on YouTube. We kicked off the February challenge, and it's something simple this month. There's reasons that we do challenges all the time. That 28, 30-day window is a great time to start to create habits. The whole 21 days to create a habit is kind of just something they pulled from a book. It's anywhere between 18 to 270 days, right? It really depends on what the habit is. The reason we're doing these challenges is because I want you guys to accomplish something each and every day, something small, something that you can look at and go, I got this done no matter what. I'm changing who I am. I'm growing, I'm learning, I'm applying things, and I'm accomplishing, right? That's a big part of why we're doing this. So I'm giving you these challenges. So the challenge for this month, February here, is fairly simple. I'm going to review real quick so you can see. So the February challenge is number one, you're going to learn how to meditate. So you're going to spend a little bit of time meditating each and every day. If you do this on a consistent basis, we're going to go over meditation basics today. So if you already meditate, then you need to find a way to up that level. Whatever you're doing, you're going to increase it in some way, increase the effort that you put in. Okay. Followed by an effort to become more creative. You're going to be an idea machine. So you're going to every day write down at least 10 ideas, something. Ideas about anything. I don't care what they are. And if you already do something like this, some kind of creative activity, then you can find ways to increase that. You do multiple ideas about one particular topic. It could be taking those ideas and finding ways to write content about them. There's all sorts of different things. But what I'm trying to help you do is first clear your mind, help reduce the noise, and then utilize your mind and stretch the levels of creativity. That's what we're going after. This is the challenge. So you're going to do a little bit of this each and every day. I guess one of the members, I can't remember who posted it. She'd already done 20 ideas, had that in. It posted just a little bit earlier today. Who was that? There we are. It was, Jillian. So everybody got this on meditation and the ideas. This is what we're doing. We're becoming more creative. So I'm going to talk about 5 reasons, but I'm going to take my screen off here in just a second. So this helps you to understand your pain, your frustrations, your stress. It lowers stress. It helps you connect better to yourself. And ultimately can connect better to others because you reduce some of that noise in your head, helps you improve focus. One reason I do it, I do have ADHD. It helps me slow down my brain. It reduces that brain chatter. It helps me focus once I do that. That's one reason that I do it. It helps keep me on task, right? So there's a lot of different ways to meditate. So quick show of hands again. How many of you guys spend time meditating? Awesome. Good. Okay. So who'd like to hop on and talk about just basics of meditation, something that they do, something that they've learned when it comes to meditation? And if you guys have questions about meditation in general, whether you do it often or not, now's the time, drop them into the chat. Okay, so Bruce and then Maria, we'll go there.
I use a YouTube video by Tony Robbins.
Okay.
I do the same video every day. It's quite long. It's about 12 to 14 minutes long.
Okay.
And it grounds me. And I also I do it first thing in the morning when I wake up.
Okay.
My head is clear when I wake up. Occasionally I have the chatterbox going on, but I do the declarations by Harv Eker to switch off that chatterbox, and then I do my meditation.
Okay, so we start off early,
yes.
Right? You haven't let the day kind of overwhelm you yet, which is great. And they talk a lot of times about kind of the wavelengths that your brain is at when you first wake up, guys. So you're closer to what they call kind of that subconscious mind at that point, and you're able to slip into that meditative state a little sooner, right? So yeah, Scott's asking for the link. So, guys, if you have some of these, this would be great. Share them inside the Skype chat. And what we'll do is maybe I'll create a Google Doc where we can, if you guys have a certain, someone was talking about Spotify. So maybe there's a certain audio that you listen to. There's a video that you listen to. Like there's different, and again, a lot of different ways to meditate. And so if you found what works for you guys, that's great. If you haven't yet, try some of these other things out. Okay. So thank you, Bruce. Maria, and then Edwin. Maria, what do you do?
Well, basically, I want to say something. Many people think that meditation is to quiet your mind and like to have it blank, and that's absolutely not true. What in my experience, like what I do, well, I practice like several types of meditation, if I can put it like that. Basically, I like see my thoughts and I let them in and I let them go. So basically, if they give me anxiety, I let the anxiety like come in. Sorry. And then like I try to deal with the emotions and like being like conscious, loving, and like everything. Then at the time, well, when I do that, when I meditate first in the mornings, because I read like the Miracle Mornings, and then I wake up like every morning like at 4, and I start like with 10 or 15 minutes of silence, and then at the end of the day I do like a body scan, kind of meditate, like going like from my head to my toes, like going like and like feeling them, feeling every single inch of my body. And then I don't know, it's quite fun because there's no single way to do it. You just and there are a lot of people to follow: Deepak Chopra, Dalai Lama,
so there's a lot of different ways. So you start in the morning, you find what works for you, kind of thoughts in, thoughts out. You do a kind of a review almost, a secondary at night right before sleep so that you can calm back down.
Exactly. So, yes.
Good.
Yes.
You're good. All right. So Edwin, if you want to pop on, and I'll ask you here in a second. I'm going to hit with, let's see. Now, Ryan's saying something that I deal with all the time. So I tried this morning and he fell asleep. So if any of you guys have kind of experienced that same thing, I'll talk a little bit about what I do. But if you have that problem, when you get into just that peacefulness and you knock out, Deepak has a meditation app that's free. Matea saying affirmation by Grass Power. Listen every night. I am affirmations for success. Yep, absolutely. Camila CJ on here says I have the Calm app, and yeah, Calm is great. There's one, I think it's called Insight, that I used for a while. There's different things about breathing, and I'm going to talk about some of the basics here that most people kind of agree with. Bruce, save that link for me so that I get it. I'll create a Google Doc with all of these. Edwin, are you there?
I've put the link on the Skype page, Andrew.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. Edwin, are you there? You got your hand up.
Yeah, I'm here. You hear me?
Yep, there you go.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm actually at work, so that's why I don't have my live. But what I use, I do like it's more like it's like a supercharge. I call it like a supercharged meditation. I first started at night, where I also use the Calm app. Where I just before I go to bed, I actually use it to go to bed, just rest my mind before starting my next day. Because a good sleep, that's very important, having a good sleep. Right. And before that, I'm very spiritual, so I just have an audio of Psalm 119. Get into the Word, and then get a good night's sleep. And then in the morning, I actually I have it in my phone, and one of my wallpapers. It's called the Mastery Mantra, where I have like three little powerful quotes that I meditate on it every morning to start off my day. Which is this is simple. I tell myself this is simple, whatever task I'm doing that day or whatever project I got going on. The other one is there's always solutions. So that way it could prepare me for whenever I run into a challenge, or there's always a solution for it. Just trying to, be prepared for that. And also just the last one is I'm committed, where I'm going to be continue committed no matter what to the task. So I just, start off my day on those three, to continue on, moving on with my day, and then start off again, with the same process at night to get another night good rest.
Good. The cool thing about meditation, guys, there really is, there's so many different ways to approach it. The key, these reasons behind it, ultimately the goal is to find a way to understand yourself better, understand that pain, lower stress, connect, improve focus, reduce the brain chatter, all of that. And there's, excuse me, some basics here. I just shared these slides, taking a seat, set a time, but you don't have to necessarily pull out a yoga mat, light some candles, have incense going, sit in a lotus position and meditate that way. Meditation can come in a lot of different ways. It's really just, it's finding a way. We've done these trainings before, a conscious, subconscious mind, right? 95% of what you do throughout the day, really what your body does and these actions, 95% of the thought processes that are going on in your brain in one way or another are connected to that subconscious and unconscious mind. It's just happening. You've done it enough that you get into, your brain is just working. What we're trying to do is that conscious 5%, 5 to 10% gets overwhelming, right? And that's where we struggle. If you're struggling with willpower, oftentimes it's because you haven't created the habits and you're fighting against the bad habits, right? You're making decisions over and over that can be almost automated, or that would, if you had the correct habits in place, it would simplify things for your brain. What we're trying to do with meditation is take that jumble, that noise that we deal with, the stress and frustration and everything else, and sometimes it's the negativity, and sometimes that negativity bleeds over into our physical well-being, and it's making a conscious effort to work through some of those thoughts and everything that are bleeding into our subconscious. Does that make sense? So it can be through listening to affirmations. It can be through listening to music or psalms or prayer, or just sitting and breathing. It could be a walk out in nature and in the sun, and just allowing your brain to kind of get into a meditative state and breathing more. A lot of you guys that are active physically, getting on the treadmill or running and getting into a flow state in a sense, right? Where you just let things go. Right. So when I am doing my cardio, I've got two different ways that I do it. Sometimes I'm listening to music and reading. I set up my Kindle on the thing and I read. Sometimes I do that. And then sometimes I just go, and I don't have the TV on, and I'm not looking at the big screen TV, and I'm not reading. I'm not listening to anything. You're just doing it. Right. The key element here with meditation, and what I'm trying to get you guys to do this month especially, and again, if you already do this, find a way to increase that connection, right? Test different things out. Like, how can I get deeper into that flow state? How can I cleanse myself out a little bit more? What can I do to connect more with me? Because ultimately that's what we're doing. We're connecting with ourselves. If you want to say the universe or God or whatever, a higher level of connectivity is what we want. More presence. It's a lot easier to be present outside of the meditative state when I allow my brain to kind of function. So yesterday, one point we brought up is maybe beforehand doing a type of a brain dump. That, Edwin's talking about a supercharged meditation. He deals with some of the stuff at night. So in the morning you wake up, like Bruce is talking about, a little bit more clearly. Even at that point, sometimes a brain dump or something may be necessary. So Ryan's talking about falling asleep. What I do is savers from Miracle Morning. You have the silence, oh my gosh, was it affirmations, visualizations, exercise, reading, and scribing, right? That's what they do. I do that exercise. I do a 5 to 7 minute every single morning to get my body just awake, my physical body awake. So when I do sit down and I try and have some silence, I don't fall asleep, because I can fall asleep like that. I could, like, middle of the day, evening, I could be sitting on the couch having a conversation with my fiance and just fall asleep. Like, that's just, I've always been like that. I don't at night, and it's not sleep apnea. I've done the tests. I have non-restorative sleep disorder. which means even if I sleep 8 hours, it feels like I slept 2. I don't get enough REM. And so, yeah, I'll take that nap in the middle of the day, but it's kind of awkward. I'm sitting having a conversation with you and I fall asleep. Middle of your sentence, I'm just looking at you. Yep. Out. So meditation for me has always been that problem. Like, I got to sit down and be quiet now for 10 minutes, like with soothing music. Oh, this is going to be rough. Like, am I just taking another little nap? So that's what I found works for me, Ryan. It's just that extra little bit of kind of stretching, calisthenic type movement. I'm not doing anything crazy, just enough to kind of wake my body up, do some additional breathing, like deeper level, trying to get more oxygen in so that it gets oxygen to my brain, right? Now, also for me, hydration is I can tell if I'm dehydrated, I'm more tired all of the time. And there's all sorts of reasons for that, guys, and we've talked about it. But if you're dehydrated, your blood doesn't flow the right way. Your blood needs to flow to get the oxygen where it needs to be, all that kind of stuff, right? So, Nike, you got something for us?
Yeah, just wanted to offer, I get nervous talking in front of the group, so hang on a second. I'm shaking.
Well, good for you. Well done. Look, this is about the safest place if you want to talk.
Yeah, and that's why I am, because I want to practice talking. So that's why. But this group seems to be really interested in like the brain health. So meditation, kind of along with what Maria was saying earlier. In our waking state, like our brain beta wave is like right here. When you sleep and you get the brain waves comes down. Can you hear how nervous I am?
You're perfect. You're good.
So when you meditate, when you learn to get into more of the deeper meditation state, your beta wave actually gets higher, to go up. So people think you meditate to get relaxed. The beta wave actually increases in the meditative state. So here's awakened state, sleeping state, meditative state. So beta waves, if you remember from what Melissa was talking about, that controls your conscious thought and logical thinking, because we act so much from the subconscious, like you talk about a lot, Andrew. And so the meditation can just help us be more aware of our thoughts and be grounded.
Yeah. And that's really finding way. We talk about awareness a lot, guys. I do. And so I say we, because you guys are forced to listen to me when you're here. So, awesome.
Yeah, but people who wanted those, the brain training, if you don't have access to those equipment, you can. Yeah,
there's still stuff that you can do. Yeah. So some of you guys are a little bit newer. We had on a couple of weeks ago a friend of mine named Melissa, who runs the brain training centers, does neurofeedback therapy, and she was talking about beta waves and everything. And you go back and watch that, and I can get you the link, but then there's going to be someone close to you that can do it. But if you don't want to spend money on the actual neurofeedback therapy, there's things that you can do to train your brain to become better. And meditation ultimately is one of those things, because we're finding ways to quiet that noise, to connect, to pay attention to what thoughts are coming in and coming out. I love what Chantel wrote. If you guys scroll up a little bit, one key element is come in with no expectations. Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's just like your marketing, guys. At the very beginning, you're probably going to suck at it, right? Especially if you're not used to it. Okay. I mean, there's probably some of you on here that have either the radio or the TV on at your home all of the time in order to have some noise. You're used to having noise. And without noise, it's kind of what's going on? Okay, and I think I've told this story before, but so years ago, I was a missionary in Brazil. I was in Rio de Janeiro. Rio de Janeiro in Brazil is a big city, like millions and millions of people. It's a very large metropolitan area. And I was in an area called Nova Iguaçu. And Nova Iguaçu, the Baixada Fluminense, it super dense population, lots of people. You're walking down the road, middle of the day, and it's like, all the pictures, if you've ever been to New York City, maybe not in the last year and a half, but you ever been in New York City, walking up and down, Times Square area where the people are just packed, like that was Nova Iguaçu all the time, right? Unless it was a soccer game going on and then everybody cleared the streets and it was a ghost town. But noise. And not only were there all those people and there were cars and you would hear that, they had speakers up on telephone poles and electric poles everywhere playing music. It was like walking through a music video all the time. Like even in regular neighborhoods, like at the time, the Backstreet Boys were huge. Like I can't tell you how many times I heard Backstreet Boys playing, walking around some random neighborhood, but always noise. So there was one time, a friend of mine and I, we were in the center of Rio and we went to the Jardim Botanica, like the botanical garden. Huge, many acre large property. There's just this beautiful garden in the middle of the city. And after we'd been there for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, a couple of times we're like, something's weird. Like what's going on? Like something's happening. Like something just feels weird. Do you feel that? Well, yeah, I feel it. What is it? And after a little bit, we kind of recognize, I don't remember which one of us, may have been him. It's like, it's quiet. I don't hear anything. And I kind of stopped and I went, it is. Like there's no noise. I don't hear cars. I don't hear cars backfiring. I don't hear radio. I don't hear people. There's no music playing. It's just quiet. And it was so dramatic, that effect. And then after I was down there for about 2 years and I came home, and it honestly took me about 2 weeks to get used to the quiet again. Too many of us are accustomed to the noise and we're uncomfortable without the noise. And sometimes that noise is external, but oftentimes it's internal. It's the voice that we have in our head. It's the conversations that are going on. Sometimes it's doubts. Sometimes it's positive. Sometimes it's replays of musics or books or movies or conversations that you have or haven't had with a significant other or someone at work, or you're thinking about work and you don't shut it off. The meditation is there to just give your brain a second to relax, at least the conscious side of it. Okay. So that's a big part of what I'm challenging you guys to do this month. Find time for more meditation if you've never done it. Look, 2 to 5 minutes a day. If you haven't done anything, 5 minutes a day of just silence and allowing your brain to just kind of go. And like Chantel's saying, coming in without expectations and just trying to learn how to do it will make a difference. If nothing, it'll help kind of lower stress. Don't come into it stressed about it not being perfect. Allow yourself to understand that it won't be, and that's okay. All right. Now, the second part, the creativity, I'm going to talk about different ways to become more creative this week. But guys, spend some time taking care of you. That's a big part of this. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to wrap this and then we'll kind of hit on some of these messages in here. Again, tomorrow, special guest talking about the metaverse. Even if it intimidates you, I think you should come and show up, because it's going to be a ton of really good information. And some of you, inevitably, somebody's going to take that and run with it, just add it to what they're doing, and it's going to be cool to see. But on that note, I appreciate you guys. Love you. I dropped in those slides. If you have, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a Google Doc here in just a second, and I'm going to add it to the overall challenge Google Drive folder. And what I'm going to ask you guys to do, I'm going to make it so it's editable. I think that's the right word. So you can add links for what you have. So if it's a Google Doc that you have, make sure that you make it shareable, or so that people can view it, right? If you add a link like that. But what I'm going to ask you to do is just write, Tony Robbins affirmations or whatever. A link, if it's a link to an audio, music link, a YouTube video, whatever, just a quick, one, not even, I don't want a sentence. I don't want a paragraph. I don't want detailed explanations. I do all it. Like, that's not what we're looking for. It's here's what I've got. Here's the link so people can take a look. Okay. Everybody cool with that? So I'd love to get a bunch of different options there so people can look. Guys, the whole key is finding what works for you. Okay. My meditation isn't going to be yours. Those deep breaths, those couple minutes right before I do, a heavy exercise may not be exactly what you're looking for, right? Some of you guys are doing 30, 40, and, an hour long meditation. Sometimes daily. people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it. My ADHD brainwave.
So what do you need to do? How do you stand out?
So what you need to do is be that person that's different and it's bigger than you think. Right.